गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय ददाले कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः. First of all, offer my millions of obeisances to lotus feet of Asmade Guru Pad Padma, Vitala Preshta Jagat Guru Shishma Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Tirandi Swami Shishan Bhaktivedanta Dandi Maharaj Ji, Namnishta Santa Shri Aniruddha Das Prabhu Ji, all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are gathered here, please accept my humble obeisances. Canto 2, Chapter 6, Text number 9. पायुर्यमस्य मित्रस्य परिमोक्षस्य नारद हिंसाया निवृत्तेर्मृत्योर्निरयस्य गुदं स्मृतः. Payu, the evacuating outlet, Yamasya, of the controlling deity of death, Mitrasya, of Mitra, Parimokshasya, of the evacuating whole. Narada, O Narada, Himsayaha, of envy, Nirutte, of misfortune, Mrityu, of death, Nirayasya, of hell, Gudam, the rectum, Smrita, is understood. O Narad, the evacuating outlet of the universal form of the Lord, is the abode of the controlling deity of death, Mitra, and the evacuating whole, and the rectum of the Lord is the place of envy, misfortune, death, hell, etc. Text 2.6.10. Parabhuteradharmasya tamasyaschāpi paśchimā nadyo nadadinam cha gotranam asti samhati. Parabhuti, of frustration, adharmasya, of immorality, tamasa, of ignorance, cha, and api, as also, paschima, the back, nadya, of the intestines, nada, of the great rivers, nadinam, of the rivulets, cha, also, gotranam, of the mountains, asti, bones, samhati, accumulation. The back of the Lord is a place for all kinds of frustration and ignorance, as well as for immorality. From his veins flow the great rivers and rivulets, and on his bones are stacked the great mountains. In order to defy the impersonal conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a systematic analysis of the physiological and anatomical constitution of his transcendental body is given here. It is clear from the available description of the body of the Lord, his universal form, that the form of the Lord is distinct from the forms of ordinary mundane conception. In any case, he is never a formless void. Ignorance is the back of the Lord, and therefore the ignorance of the less intelligent class of men is also not separate from his bodily conception. Since his body is the complete whole of everything, that being, one cannot assert that he is impersonal only. On the contrary, the perfect description of the Lord holds that he is both impersonal and personal simultaneously. The personality of Godhead is the original feature of the Lord, and his impersonal emanation is but the reflection of his transcendental body. Those who are fortunate enough to have a view of the Lord from the front can realize his personal feature, whereas those who are frustrated and are thus kept on the ignorant side of the Lord, or in other words, those who have the view of the Lord from the back, realize him in his impersonal feature. Text 2.6.11. Avyaktarasa sindhunam bhutanam janasya cha udaram viditam pumso hridayam manasa padam. Avyakta, the impersonal feature, rasa sindhunam, of the seas and oceans of water, Bhutanam, of those who take birth in the material world, Nidanasya, of the annihilation, Cha, also, Udaram, his belly, Viditam, is known by the intelligent class of men, Pumsaha, of the great personality, Hridayam, the heart, Manasa, of the subtle body, Padam, the place. The impersonal feature of the Lord is the abode of great oceans, and his belly is the resting place for the materially annihilated living entities. His heart is the abode of the subtle material bodies of living beings. Thus, it is known by the intelligent class of men. In the Bhagavad Gita 8.17 and 18, it is stated that according to human calculations, one day of Brahma is equal to 1000 ages of 4 millenniums, 4,300,000 years each, and the same period is calculated to be his night also. Brahma lives for 100 such years and then dies. A Brahma who is generally a great devotee of the Lord attains liberation after such a downfall. The universe, called the Brahmanda or the round football like domain controlled by a Brahma, is thus annihilated, and thus the inhabitants of a particular planet or of the whole universe are also annihilated. Avyakta, mentioned here in this verse, means the night of Brahma, where partial annihilation takes place, and the living entities of that particular Brahmanda, up to the planets of Brahmalok, along with the big oceans, etc., all repose in the belly of the Virat Purusha. At the end of a Brahma's night, the creation again takes place, and the living entities reserved within the belly of the Lord are let loose to play their respective parts as if being awakened from a deep slumber. Since the living entities are never destroyed, the annihilation of the material world does not annihilate the existence of the living entities. But until liberation is attained, one has to accept one material body after another, again and again. The human life is meant for making a solution to this repeated change of bodies and thereby attaining a place in the spiritual sky where everything is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. In other words, the subtle forms of the living entities take place in the heart of the Supreme Being, and such forms take tangible shape at the time of creation. Text 12. धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्वस्य parasatma parayanam. Dharmasya of religious principles or of Yamaraj, mama mine, tubhyam of yours, cha and kumaranam of the four kumaras, bhavasya of Lord Shiva, cha and also vijnanasya of transcendental knowledge, cha also satvasya of truth, parasya of the great personality, atma consciousness, parayanam dependent. Also, the consciousness of that great personality is the abode of religious principles. Mine, yours, and those of the four bachelors, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar, and Sanandan. That consciousness is also the abode of truth and transcendental knowledge. Text 13 to 16. Aham bhavan bhavashchaiva taime munayo agraja surasura nara naga खगा मृग सरीसृपा गंधर्व अप्सरसो यक्षा रक्षो भूतगणो रगः पशवा पितरा सिद्धा विद्याध्राश्चारणाद्रुमा अन्ये च विदा जीवा जलस्थल नभोकसा ग्रहर्क्षकेतवस्तारास्तडितास्तनयित्नवाम् सर्वं पुरुष एवेदं भूतं भव्यं भवच्च यत् तेने मावृतं विश्वं वितस्ति Aham myself, Bhavan yourself, Bhavaha Lord Shiva, Cha also, Eva certainly, Te they, Ime all, Munaya the great sages, Agrajaha born before you, Sura the demigods, Asura the demons, Nara the human beings, Nagaha the inhabitants of the Naga planet, Khagaham birds, Mruga beast, Sarisrupa reptiles, Gandharva, Apsarasaha, Yakshaha, Rakshaha, Bhutaganaha, Uragaha, Pashavaha, Pitaraha, Siddha, Vidyadhara, Charanaha, all inhabitants of different planets. Drumaha, the vegetable kingdom. Anne, many others, Cha also. Vividha of different varieties. Jivaha, living entities. Jala, water, Sthala, land, Nabha, Okasaha, the inhabitants of the sky or the birds, Graha, the asteroids, Ruksha, the influential stars, Ketavaha, the comets, Taraha, the luminaries, Taditaha, the lightning, Stana, Stana Yitnavaha, the sound of the clouds, Sarvam, everything, Purushaha, the personality of Godhead, Eva, Idam, certainly all this, Bhutam, whatever is created, Bhavyam, whatever will be created, Bhavat, and whatever was created in the past, Cha, also, Yat, whatever, Tena, Idam, it is all by him, Avritam, covered, Vishwam, universally comprehending, Vitastim, half a cubit, Aditisthati, situated. Beginning from me, Brahma, down to you, and Bhava Shiva, all the great sages who were born before you, the demigods, the demons, the nagas, the human beings, the birds, the beasts, as well as the reptiles, etc., and all phenomenal manifestations of the universes, namely the planets, stars, asteroids, luminaries, lightning, thunder, and the inhabitants of the different planetary systems, namely the Gandharvas, Apsaras, Rakshas, Bhutaganas, Uragas, Ashus, Pitas, Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Charanas, and all other different varieties of living entities, including the birds, beasts, trees, and everything that be, are all covered by the universal form of the Lord at all times, namely past, present, and future. Although he is transcendental to all of them, eternally existing in a form not exceeding 9 inches. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his partial representation, measuring not more than 9 inches as Supersoul, expands by his potency in the shape of the universal form, which includes everything manifested in different varieties of organic and inorganic materials. The manifested varieties of the universe are therefore not different from the Lord, just as golden ornaments of different shapes and forms are not different from the original stock reserve of gold. In other words, the Lord is the supreme person who controls everything within the creation, and still he remains the supreme separate entity, distinct from all manifested material creation. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.4 and 5, he is therefore said to be Yogeshwar. Everything rests on the potency of the Lord Sri Krishna, and still the Lord is different from and transcendental to all such identities. In the Vedic Purush Sukta of the Rug Mantra, this is also confirmed. This philosophical truth of simultaneous oneness and difference was propounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it is known as Achinta Bhedabhed Tattva. Brahma, Narada, and all others are simultaneously one with the Lord and different from the Supreme Lord. We are all one with Him, just as the gold ornaments are one in quality with the stock of gold. But individual gold ornament is never equal in quantity with the stock gold. The stock gold is never exhausted even if there are innumerable ornaments emanating from the stock, because the stock is Purnam, complete. Even if Purnam is deducted from the Purnam, still the Supreme Purnam contains the same Purnam. This fact is inconceivable to our present imperfect senses. Lord Chaitanya therefore defined his theory of philosophy as achintya, inconceivable, and as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita as well as in the Bhagavatam, Lord Chaitanya's theory of achintya Bheda Tattva is the perfect philosophy of the absolute truth. Text 17. Swadhishnam pratapan prano bhaishya pratapatyasau evam virajam pratapanstapatyantarvahirpuman. Swadhishnam, radiation, pratapan, by expansion, pranaha, living energy, bahi, external, cha, also, pratapati, illuminated, asau, the sun, evam, in the same way, virajam, the universal form, pratapan, by expansion of tapati, enlivens, antah, internally, bahi, externally, puvan, the supreme personality. The sun illuminates both internally and externally by expanding its radiation. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by expanding his universal form, maintains everything in the creation both internally and externally. The universal form of the Lord or the impersonal feature of the Lord, known as the Brahma Jyoti, is clearly explained here and compared to the radiation of the sun. The sunshine may expand all over the universe, but the source of the sunshine, namely the sun planet or the deity known as Surya Narayan, is the basis of such radiation. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the basis of the impersonal Brahma Jyoti radiation or the impersonal feature of the Lord. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 14.27. So, the universal form of the Lord is the secondary imagination of the impersonal form of the Lord. But the primary form of the Lord is Shama Sundar with two hands playing his eternal flute. 75% of the expansive radiation of the Lord is manifested in the spiritual sky, Tripada Vibhuti, and 25% of his personal radiation comprehends the entire expansion of the material universes. This is also explained and stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.42. Thus, the 75% expansion of his radiation is called his internal energy, whereas the 25% of expansion is called the external energy of the Lord. The living entities who are residents of the spiritual as well as the material expansions are his marginal energy, Tatastha Shakti, and they are at liberty to live in either of the energies, external or internal. Those who live within the spiritual expansion of the Lord are called liberated souls, whereas the residents of the external expansions are called the conditioned souls. We can just make an estimate of the number of the residents of the internal expansions in comparison with the number of residents in the external energy and may easily conclude that the liberated souls are far more numerous than the conditioned souls. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhescha kripa sindhubhyo cha pradhanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.